celebrities are just like us in the sense that they hold jobs and can get fired from them as well. Though unlike us, they lose out on millions per job lost, it's still a pretty big deal in Hollywood. From scandals to recasts, let's talk about the top 10 celebrities Hollywood has fired, part 2. At number 10, Armie Hammer. Actor Armie Hammer caused the year's first big Hollywood scandal after making headlines as some intimate DMs were leaked on social media, which showed Armie talking about his bedroom fantasies. The page House of Effie exposed the leaked messages, exposing some of their adult content. Some of the things discussed in the messages were Armie's desire to eat people, and some people, like ex-partners, have come forward with their personal accounts of Armie's fantasies. But this isn't all that Armie is being scrutinized for. Armie has also been accused of assault. Because of this bombshell story, Armie has been losing work from all sides. When the scandal first broke, he made the decision to back out of an upcoming film project alongside Jennifer Lopez, and he also dropped out of a series he was cast for Paramount+. On top of that, he's been fired from a number of other projects as a result of the allegations against him. Armie has also been dropped by his agent and personal publicist. Hollywood has essentially fired the actor, as they will definitely not be casting Armie in any upcoming projects anytime soon, and because he's pretty much lost all of his networking connections. At number 9, Chris D'Elia. 2020 saw the cancellation of a lot of people. A lot of celebrities ended up in some hot water, and comedian Chris D'Elia was one of the stars who hit rock bottom. Chris D'Elia faced multiple allegations of sexual misconduct and harassing underage girls online last year, and this has caused him to essentially be fired from Hollywood. After multiple women came forward to share their unpleasant experiences with the comedian, from unwanted advances to indecent exposure and manipulation, Chris has lost all support and credibility in the industry. Though this scandal started last year, now in 2020, Chris is facing more allegations, and a lawsuit was filed in early March accusing Chris of soliciting private content from a young woman under the age of 18. Though this happened in 2014 when she was 17, she said that she was inspired by the other women who've come forward to tell their story and seek justice. Chris's actions and experiences with these women have not only impacted their lives, but his as well, because as a result of his actions, Chris was dropped by his agency and manager. He will be hard-pressed to find any work in the industry now. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really does help the channel out a lot. At number 8, Chadwick Boseman. The late Chadwick Boseman was an incredible actor. Each role he played was done amazingly, from playing King T'Challa in Black Panther to portraying Jackie Robinson in 42. Besides being a talented actor, he was also someone who fought for Black lives, and so when he saw something unjust or discriminatory, he was quick to call it out. This is a very good trait to have, but apparently it can get you fired. Chadwick once spoke out about how he was once fired from a soap opera for pointing out some discriminatory things in the show. While on All My Children, his first credited on-screen role, Chadwick played a character who was part of a gang. Chadwick explained that he asked, quote, why his character didn't have a father and why his mother was unable to care for her children. He told the show executives, quote, if we're out here assuming that Black characters on the show are criminals on drugs and have deadbeat parents, then that would probably be stereotypical. The executives didn't like that Chadwick questioned the character, and so he was fired from the show the next day. He was replaced on the show by Michael B. Jordan, both of whom went on to star in Black Panther together. Chadwick stood up for something and got fired for it, but it didn't matter because he went on to have an amazing career regardless. At number 7, Isaiah Washington. If you know Isaiah Washington, then you're probably a fan of Grey's Anatomy. The actor is a fan favorite, but after a scandal shook his career, he was fired from Hollywood for a short time. Isaiah left his role on Grey's for a number of reasons. Firstly, there was some on-set drama that blew up because he allegedly didn't get along with co-star Patrick Dempsey, and it was also alleged that they even got into a physical altercation. The scandal that really did him in, though, was his controversial use of a gay slur. He used this offensive language when referring to one of his other co-stars, T.R. Knight. As a result of his actions, he was fired from the show, and this behavior apparently led to him being blacklisted from Hollywood for a few years. He truly had been fired from Hollywood. No one wanted to work with him because his homophobic scandal was still fresh in many people's minds. People weren't really quick to forget these sort of things. Eventually, he was able to make amends and found his way back to the screen in Grey's as he took up his character's story once again. His Hollywood ban was short-lived, but it did do a number on his career regardless. At number 6, Terence Howard. Nowadays, everyone knows actor Don Cheadle as the one who plays Colonel James Rhodes, aka War Machine, in the MCU, but that's not always how it was. In the first Iron Man film, the character was played by Terence Howard, but after only one movie, Terence was fired. Terence was replaced, and in 2013, he explained what happened. During an interview, Terence spoke out about how he had signed a 3-movie contract, but by the time it came around to filming the second movie, the studio proposed a much smaller paycheck, and when asked where his money went, he was told that the budget went to RDJ. He tried to negotiate a bigger salary, but talks didn't go well, and he was let go from the project. Terence said, quote, "It turns out that the person I helped become Iron Man, when it was time to re-up for the second one, he took the money that was supposed to go to me and pushed me out." His career in the MCU was certainly short-lived. At number 5, Thora Burch. Thora Burch was once a rising star in Hollywood. From starring in Hocus Pocus to American Beauty, she was finding a lot of success in the industry, but due to a number of reported conflicts with a number of executives, Thora hasn't been finding the same level of success that she once was. Some say that she's even been blacklisted from Hollywood. Thora isn't solely to blame for her career troubles, as it is believed that much of this has to do with Thora's father and the conflicts that he's been involved in. The first big career-defining conflict came from back in 2010, when it was reported that Thora had been fired from an off-Broadway production of Dracula because her father would frequently accompany Thora to set and had physically threatened other actors. Thora was also fired from her project Manson Girls after her father allegedly got into an argument with production. Between 2010 and 2018, Thora reportedly only booked 1 gig, and the actress has said that much of that has to do with her bad reputation in the industry. She's also said that she's angered a lot of people over the years, so this could be one of the reasons she's been fired from Hollywood. At number 4, Chris Harrison. Bachelor Nation was hit with a pretty big scandal this year. Bachelor/Bachelorette host Chris Harrison faced backlash for comments that he made regarding another contestant's past. At the beginning of the Bachelor season early this year, photos of one of the Bachelor contestants was released, which showed her attending an antebellum-themed party. This was seen as racist and very offensive because of the history of the antebellum South. When this scandal first broke, Chris was asked about his thoughts on the matter, and he responded with some comments that fans perceived as perpetuating racism. In an interview on Extra, when asked about the contestant's controversial photos, Chris seemingly defended her actions of her being at this party because it was, quote, back in 2018. Rachel Lindsay, a past contestant and the show's first Black Bachelorette, questioned Chris on this, saying that it doesn't matter if it happened in 2018 or 2021, saying that it's never a good look. Chris continued to try and defend his stance, going back to the fact that this took place 3 years ago, but it still didn't win anyone over.
I don't disagree with you. You're 100% right in 2021. That was not the case in 2018.
Chris has since been fired from The Bachelor and will not be returning to host the next season of The Bachelorette. After apologizing for his remarks, Chris has said that he will make an effort to return down the line, but we don't know if he will be welcomed back on the show or if any network will hire him later on after this. At number 3, Shia LaBeouf. Late last year, Shia LaBeouf faced criticisms after his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs exposed the actor for having hurt her while they were together. The singer issued a lawsuit against him, citing him as her abuser, where she accused him of verbally and physically assaulting her while they were together. Twigs recounted the many instances of violence against her as well as others, and this painted a pretty damaging picture for the former Disney star. This isn't the first time Shia has been exposed for his behavior, as in the past, Shia has also made headlines for getting into conflict, as people have called him erratic and aggressive. This scandal came about after he made headlines for being fired from a movie set as well. Though people thought he was making a real comeback to film after being cast in the movie Don't Worry Darling, he was ultimately fired and recast because people on set clashed with the actor, with some saying that he was very aggressive. When Twigs came out with her allegations against him and her recounts of other violent instances like harming animals to get into character, people started to think that maybe he doesn't belong in Hollywood anymore. He's been pretty quiet since this scandal happened, and since he's been fired from one job already, it might make things difficult to find another later on. At number 2, Robert Downey Jr. RDJ may have been responsible for someone getting fired from a movie role in the past, but he's also been fired by Hollywood in the past as well. Robert has had a rocky past. He started off his Hollywood career at a young age, but soon he was caught in scandal after scandal until he hit rock bottom. He didn't really get his comeback until he was cast in Iron Man. After his success in the MCU, you'd think that his days of being fired would be over, but think again. Robert was actually fired from the set of the movie Gravity after a last-minute decision was made to recast him. The 2013 film Gravity stars George Clooney as a leading male, but that role was first given to RDJ. After a few days of filming, the director decided that Robert just wasn't suited to play this role. He said, quote, "Robert is incredibly talented, but the technological aspects of the movie presented a big obstacle to his style of acting." Clooney soon replaced Robert, and the film went on to be a pretty big success, but one has to wonder what the movie would have been like had they not recast the role. And finally, at number 1, Natalie Portman. Here's another last-minute casting change that would have altered the whole film. The 1996 film Romeo and Juliet stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, but originally, Natalie Portman was supposed to play the role of Juliet. Natalie was 13 years old at the time, and though it is canonically how old Juliet would have been in the original Shakespeare play, executives thought it would be a little too weird if the 13-year-old Natalie starred in the film alongside a 21-year-old Leo. Years later, in an interview, Natalie said, quote, "It was really disappointing, but I wouldn't have wanted to be in the movie and have it look wrong. It was a mutual decision, but in the end, Natalie was fired from the role." It would have been weird to see her in the role, but still, one has to wonder how the movie would have turned out had the change never happened. Now, I want you guys to tell me down in the comments about who you would want to portray you in a movie about yourself. It's an interesting thought, so which celebrity do you think would best capture you? Anyways, guys, that's been our list. I've been your host, Bree Room, and until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and stay groovy, friends. Bye!